Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Good to see you there. How do you feel? Go to the chat box, let me know. How do you feel now that you've released the anger and you've relieved the sadness? Can you feel the difference in your body? Excellent. Now, in this session, what we're going to do is we're going to learn about negative emotions number 2. Negative emotions number 2 is an associative technique, and it enables us to do timeline therapy really, really fast. Now, being an associative technique, it helps the client feel the emotion inside the event. Now, instead of being dissociated from your emotions, you need to be able to get into the event and feel the emotions. Now, remember that negative emotions are not safe for the body. So we want to get the clients in and out of the event really fast. Now, we only use this technique the second time that we take the client through timeline therapy, because we will have a better idea if they have a trauma or not, if they abreact or not. And that's when we'd use it. So remember this quote: "The only thing we fear is fear itself." Now remember, when you're using negative emotions number 2, you can't let the client linger inside the event. You've got to get them in and out of the event at 100 miles per hour so they can identify and feel the emotion without wallowing in it. So let's talk about that for a moment. Who here has ever jumped into a pool of freezing water? Maybe you've jumped into the ocean, it's been freezing cold. Has that happened to you? Or maybe you've stepped into a boiling hot shower. How fast did you get out of that freezing cold water, or how fast did you get out of that burning, boiling hot shower? It was like that, wasn't it? That fast. So when we're using timeline therapy, we want to get in and out of the event as quickly as we can. Now, what you'll notice here is that instead of going to position number 1 or to position number 2, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting the client right inside the event into position 4 immediately, and then we're going to get the learnings from position number 3. So when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to open up to page 17 of your training system. Now on page 17, you'll see negative emotions number 2. So we'll do a read through of the script first of all, and to let you know, the script is 80% the same and only 20% different. So after we've discovered the root cause, we'll turn to page 17 and we'll start with procedure 1. We'll say to the client, "I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to float up in the air above your timeline into the past and down into the event, right into position number 4. Looking through your own eyes, and when you're there, notice the emotion that's present." Now, what I want you to do is once they notice the emotion that's present, just say to the client, "What's the emotion?" And if we're working on anger, we want to make sure they go into that event and then say, "I feel anger." If we're working on sadness, we want them to go into the event and say, "I'm feeling sadness." That's just to make sure they're accessing the right emotion. 2. Now float back up above the timeline and go to position 3, well before the beginning of the event or any of the chain of events that led to that event, and turn and look towards now. Ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. So the small difference here is now you're going to be getting the learnings from position number 3. So when the client has the learnings, you'll say, "Tell me what they are." Now, once they give you the learnings, and when there's no new learnings, you'll go to procedure number 3. You'll ask, "Now where's the emotion? Where did it go?" That's right, it's disappeared. 4. Now just float right down into the event and notice that the emotion has disappeared. Is the emotion totally gone? Good. Come back up to position number 3. 5. Now come back to now above your timeline only as quickly as you can let go of all of the. If you're working on anger, you'll say anger. On the events all the way back to now. Assume position 3 with each subsequent event, preserve the learnings, and let go of the anger all the way back to now. Float down into now and come back into the room. You'll do your break state. Now, one of the things that we noticed before was that San was getting in the event. It means she was really feeling the emotion. So as part of the break state, what Isabel did, she said, stand up. I want you to stand up and I want you to move around. Quick, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. So if the client is really feeling the emotion, get them to stand up, get them to shake it off. Remember, the fastest way to change your psychology is to change your physiology. So you can just ask the client, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Now, this testing is the same. Can you remember any event in the past where you used to be able to feel that old emotion, and go back and notice if you can feel it, or you may find you cannot. Come back to now. Then we'll do our future pace. I want you to go out into the future to an unspecified time in the future, which, if it had happened in the past, you would have felt inappropriate or unwarranted anger. And notice if you can find that old emotion, or you may find you cannot. Okay? Good. Come back to now. So as I mentioned, it's 80% the same and 20% different. What you'll also find is that when you use negative emotions number 2 with your client, it happens really, really fast. Could you feel it when I read it through? Can you feel already that it's going to be faster? Everybody says, yeah, I get it. This is going to be much faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use this. And then we're going to start once again doing anger and sadness. And I want you to clear out anger and sadness again. Remember, the first time we do anger and sadness, we always use negative emotions, number 1, because we really don't know a lot about the client yet. As we start to learn more about the client and we see if they abreact or associate, then we can start to use negative emotions number 2 if we're comfortable. Now, for the group that was working with San, you'll notice that San kept going down into position number 4. Did you notice that? Was really feeling the emotion. So would negative emotions number 2 be appropriate for San? ACMA says no. The answer is no. Because in using negative emotions number 1 and 2, we noticed that San was associating into the memory. So if we were to use negative emotions number 2 with San, we're going to be putting her right into the emotion at the start, and that's probably not going to be healthy. So would we use negative emotions number 2 with San? No. So when you're in your breakout rooms and you're working with San, I want you to continue using negative emotions number 1. Does that make sense? Excellent. Okay, where's Jessie? Are you ready to go, Jessie? Okay, let's do this together. So when we start our timeline therapy intervention, what I want you to do is I want you to go back and now do anger and sadness, followed by fear, hurt, and guilt. So in your next coaching session, you're going to do timeline therapy, negative emotions number 2, 5 times consecutively. You'll do anger, then you'll do sadness, then you'll do fear, then you'll do hurt, then you'll do guilt. Now, if that's about 10 minutes each, that's going to be around about 60 minutes of consecutive coaching. You're going to do a lot of coaching today. And I want you to do a lot. So as of this afternoon or tomorrow, you can take this tool and you can start to impact other people's lives. The goal is for you to be first free of all your mental and emotional baggage. And once you do that, then you can help others. Let me ask you a question. How do you help the poor? Do you help the poor by becoming poor yourself? Does that work? Why doesn't that work, ACMA? Because if you become like the poor and have nothing, you can't help them. So in order to help the poor, you have to become rich. And once you're rich, then you can help them. Now, the same is true for things like timeline therapy. If you're not free of your mental and emotional baggage, can you help others? But when you're free and it works for you and they look at you and they say, I want to have that feeling like you've got, then can you help them? Absolutely. So, Jessie, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Let's do it. Okay. So we're going to start at page 13. And remember, when we do discovering the root cause for anger at this stage, Jessie could have a very different event. In the first session, we said we eliminated the root cause, and now she may give us another event that's more closer towards current age. Or alternatively, by releasing that first one, it might open it up to in the womb, past lives, or genealogical. We never know, but whatever the client comes up with is always true for them. Remember, our goal is always to get to the root cause. So it doesn't really matter what they say. We always ask, is there anything before that? Because we want to get to that first one. So, Jessie, are you ready?
Hold on now. Anything before that? Okay. Okay.
Okay, excellent. So let's move you out of the student role into the client role. Are you ready to go, Jessie?
Yes.
Okay, so page 13. Is it all right for your unconscious mind for you to release this anger today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
What is the root cause of this problem? Are your eyes closed? Open up those eyes. What is the root cause of this problem? The first event which, when disconnected, will cause the problem to disappear. If you were to know, was it before, during, or after your birth?
After.
After. If you were to know, what age were you?
13?
Excellent. Anything before that?
No.
Okay. Turn over to page 17. I'd like to ask your unconscious mind to float up in the air above your timeline and into the past and right down into the event at age 17, right into position number 4. Looking through your own eyes, when you're there, notice the emotion that's present. What's the emotion?
Angry.
Angry. Excellent. Float back up above the timeline and go to position number 3, well before the beginning of the event or any of the chain of events that led to that event, and ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. When you have your learnings, tell me what they are.
Should okay. I should open up my conversation with my father when he feel disappointed with me.
Mm-hmm. So how's that positive for yourself and for your future?
It would help me to release the guilty feeling between me and him, and both of us will communicate more.
Okay. Now, I heard you say guilty. However, right now we're working on anger. So if you can put the guilt to the side and let's focus on learnings to release anger. What are the positive learnings for you, for yourself, and for your future?
I can't think anything.
What are the positive learnings? So age 17, I want you to float back up above the timeline and go to position number 3, well before the beginning of the event or any of the chain of events that led to that event, and turn and look towards now. Ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there.
Okay. I always should have talked to someone truthfully, directly, and openly to my emotions instead of hiding them.
Okay, so always to talk truthfully and openly.
Yes.
Excellent. What else? Give me some more like that.
Because of this angry emotion of with my dad, I should communicate more with my other family members so it won't happen the same again.
Good. Communicate more with your other family members. Excellent. Give me some more like that.
By controlling my by releasing my anger doesn't mean I am feeling angry with them, but I care about them.
Excellent. Good. Give me another one like that.
I should look for another way to to release I should release I should look for another way to communicate instead of telling people off or
Okay.
shutting myself out.
To look for another way to communicate. Excellent. Good. What are the other positive learnings for you, for yourself, and for your future?
Go for more holiday retreat to suit myself.
Excellent. Good. Now where's the emotion?
Happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Where did it go?
Suddenly disappear.
Excellent. That's right. Now just float right down into the event and notice that the emotion has disappeared. Is the emotion totally gone?
Yes.
Good. Come back up to position number 3. Now come back to now above your timeline only as quickly as you can let go of all the anger on the events all the way back to now. Assume position 3 with each subsequent event, preserve the learnings and let go of the anger all the way back to now.
Okay.
Float down into now and come back into the room. Are you back?
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. How many colours does that shirt have on it today?
Oh, I don't know. I think
have a look. Have a look and count them. Quick.
Oh, 7.
7. Excellent. And you gave me 7 learnings. 7's the
Yeah.
magic number.
Yes.
Good. Now, Jessie, can you remember any event in the past where you used to be able to feel that old emotion? And go back and notice if you can feel it, or you may find you cannot.
No.
Check again.
No. No.
Check 7 times for every colour on your shirt.
No.
No? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, I want you to go out into the future to an unspecified time in the future, which, if it had happened in the past, you would have felt inappropriate or unwarranted anger. And notice if you can find that old emotion, or you may find you cannot.
I can't find.
Good. Are you done with the anger?
Yes.
Excellent. Well done. Excellent. Well done. So you can see how fast negative emotions number 2 is. And your job as the coach is to keep moving forward, to keep moving through the intervention, and always have your script with you. So we got 6 learnings for Jessie. And you notice how I said, how is that positive for you, for yourself, and for your future? You also notice that her first learning was about the emotion of guilt. Thank you. Did you notice that the first learning was about guilt? So what I did, I said, yes, we're working on anger. Let's put the guilt to the side and come back to that later. Because we don't want to confuse the process. At the moment, we're working on anger, and only learnings related to anger will release the anger. If we talk about guilt and we get learnings for guilt, it won't release the anger. However, what we know here is that there's also emotions of guilt related to Jessie's father. Now, for your information, I believe that Jesse's father passed away last year. Is that correct, Jesse? So even though her father's passed away, there's still emotions here from when she was 17 that was related to her father. And although her father's passed away, there's still guilt there. Does that make sense? So the fact that your parents or a loved one dies doesn't mean your unresolved emotions get cleared away. If we weren't working on this now, Jessie could carry that anger towards her father on that event at age 17 throughout her whole life. So Jessie, how old are you now? 40. So this event happened some 23 years ago and there's still anger in the body. Does that make sense now? We carry the emotion. And although her father's passed on last year, there's still anger between her and her father. So how can she fully love her father or love the departed if there's anger there? That'd be confusing, wouldn't it? I love him, but I'm still angry at him. Is there any point of being angry at somebody who doesn't even exist on the planet anymore? There's no point, is there? Tooting, does that make sense to you as well? Because you've lost your father. And so we can have a lot of emotions related to somebody that is not even alive anymore. So I encourage you to make sure that if you want to fully love the departed, if you've lost a family member or friend and you want to fully love them, it means to do that, you've got to remove all the negative emotion, or we call it a bit of bad blood, between you and the departed. Once you do that, you can fully honor them and you can fully love them. Okay. Sophie, negative emotions number 2 is for everything, before, during, or after birth. Everything. We use negative emotions number 2 when there's no trauma. So for those who were in a breakout room with Sansan before, you notice that Sansan would get into the emotion and get stuck in it. So this wouldn't be the appropriate process to use with Sansan. You'll use negative emotions number 1. So Sansan, just remind your coach to use negative emotions number 1. And once you've released all of those emotions using negative emotions number 1, then you could come back and use negative emotions number 2, but not until everything else is cleared out first of all. Okay, so I want you to get ready. You're going to do a lot of coaching. You've got 3 hours of non-stop coaching. You've got an hour of coaching to take your client through the emotions of anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Now, you can do that in under 60 minutes. Absolutely. You saw how fast I did it with Jessie. So what I want you to do, coach, is I want you to move through fast. Get each emotion done: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. Do it all in under 10 minutes. When you need to do self-reflection, don't do it between emotions. Do it at the end of your session. Or what will happen is you'll do self-reflection and all of a sudden you'll realize you're running out of time. So there's going to be 2 or 3 people in your room, which means I want you to go through really fast. You're going to have about 60 minutes of coaching each. So make sure you've got a glass of water there. Make sure you've got your scripts there ready to go. I'm going to open up these breakout rooms now. Or you know what? We might even be able to do it quicker. Let's have a look here. Okay. Danny, Sansan, and Sophie, you're going to be in one room. Isabel, Jessie, and Tootie, you'll be in another room. Akma and Max, you'll be in another room. So I'm going to open up these breakout rooms for 180 minutes, which will give you 60 minutes of coaching each. Are you clear on that? 60 minutes each. So when you're the coach, you'll take your client through consecutive emotions: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Are you with me? Then you'll swap. So you've got 60 minutes. The next person will have 60 minutes. The next person will have 60 minutes. Now for ACMA and Max, you're going to be in a room of 2, which means you're going to have about 90 minutes each. And so once you go through the negative emotions for the first time, swap, and then swap roles again. So you might be able to go through this exercise almost twice. And that's okay, because each time you go through, you're going to release other emotions, including the significant emotional events. Okay, are you excited? You're all doing very well. You're doing a wonderful job. I think this is one of the fastest groups I've had, so you're doing well. So breakout rooms are now open. Enjoy your time. And if you need support, just message me in the breakout room and I'll come and visit your group. I'll see you soon.